Hi, welcome to toddfun.com, where I do what I think is fun, and today it's a product review. It's a USB digital microscope. Hooks up to your computer, supposedly goes from goes up to 200x. So I'm not so sure how good the field of the magnification will be. That depth of field is what's big in my mind when you get into that type of magnification. But even at the lower magnifications, which I want it for doing things like looking at solder joints and looking over very tiny things like small traces and stuff, I don't need 200x. I really only want 20 tops probably. And I'd like to be able to sit it there and see what I'm doing on the laptop while maybe I solder something small or something. And being it comes like almost like on a boom, I think it'd be easy to quickly clip this to my boom light so that I can just dive it right into my circuit while I'm soldering it and not have to, have it another thing just in my way on the bench. So let's open it up. I think Adafruit just started selling these. I ordered it from Adafruit just last week. I haven't even opened it yet, so let's see what we get. We get looks like a little plastic stand. It's pretty lightweight. I wish it was heavier. Just not that it needs to be, I don't think, but just so it's less easy to tip over and bounce. Let's see, and not much there. Just a USB cord and a camera. Looks like it comes with an easy install sheet and a software to use it. So it's got a button on the side here for taking a picture, but I've read already that you can do that on the laptop, so you don't have to touch the camera in order to take the picture. You can just click it from there. It's got like the zoom mechanism is on the side right there, so you just wheel this back and forth, I guess. That's just sort of a wheel, zoom in and out. Has LEDs in it, whole pack of them there, so obviously you're not going to have a lighting problem. You don't have to get light down on your work. And I suppose it just snaps on. It's got little grooves in the side. And those little grooves must clip into this thing. Look at that. You even hear it click. Okay, we've got the software installed. It came on the CD-ROM. Just installed the driver. Well, plugged this in first, installed the driver, installed the software, and had to reboot. Wasn't too terribly painful. Did notice there's one other thing on this. There's a little tiny thumb wheel here, and that's for the brightness and how bright the LEDs are. And then there's a cover. I guess it's just a protective cover, but mine is all scratched up and it doesn't focus right. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to take this off. It doesn't say so anywhere, but it really works a lot nicer if you take this little protective cover off. I'm assuming you're supposed to. And getting it in and out of this clip is complicated. It's almost easier to use it freehand sometimes. So I'll get it over top of a little resistor here that I've already looked at that shows up real good. And let's see, it was that one right there. Get it in the middle of the screen. And that middle of the screen there's an R4 222 surface mount. I think you can point at it right here too. In there. There. And it's a 0603, so it is really tiny. And I'll see. I'll zoom in on the. There. So that's zoomed in. That's what you basically see on the laptop monitor. And you can see my finger. It makes that 0203 as big as the top of my finger there. So that makes it real easy to see if you've got bad solder joints or anything. And for the price of this, it was like $79 or $69 or something like that. That's pretty cheap to have that type of magnification resolution in the lab here, with just having it hooked up like that. But my next thing is I would like to be able to actually solder. Like, I'd like to be able to come in here with a soldering iron tip and maybe touch up a solder joint or some really fine trace. And I don't think I can do that with it mounted in the way I have it here, because I really wouldn't be able to get a solder iron under there while I'm working. It's possible I could get it in front of me and come in from both sides, but that's a little bit close. And I do notice that it has different focal points. You can basically take it out of this thing. This isn't easy to get in and out, but you can take it right down to the board like that, and then focus it. And I'll see if I can get back on the laptop. And it like has multiple focus zones, if you will. So like if I drop it in there, it's, oops, there's a little bit off to one side there. There's that same 222, but now it's twice the size of my finger, because I've just dropped the microscope right down onto the surface. It doesn't give you really good images in the outer lying area, like over in this area. It gets a little blurry over in these areas. But where you're focused on, it stays pretty sharp. But you don't get real good depth perception with it. It's hard to tell, how high or where there's, any type of dimensional z-axis issue going on. You really can't get in and look at from much of an angle with this device. It doesn't. I don't know if anything would. A stereoscope microscope is what I really need. Okay, I took the head off my speaker mic, and I have it here, and I glued it to a salvaged magnet I got out of an old speaker. And I did the same to my base. I've got it glued, another salvaged speaker magnet to the base of this, and it also makes it much heavier. So now it's not so tippy when the camera's hanging over the edge and looking down at something. So I actually like this converted base, because now it's much more stable on the bench and much heavier. So the concept is this will screw on, and I can even put a fan up there if I put a magnet on my fan. So that way I'm not using any fasteners. I'm just using magnets to hold either the microscope or hold either the microscope or the fan on this thing. And this should click on pretty good now. Probably too good, actually. Oh boy, it snapped on quick. And so there, it's that will be, and it's going to be able to hold it pretty good, I think. So let's hook it up and see how it works for using it for soldering. Okay, I got my microscope set up on this mic stand with the magnet mounts, and it's got a good distance now with a decent focus, a good inch of clearance. And my little laptop here with the image on the side, I can definitely get in there real easy. I can get in there and I could touch up a really fine trace or something, and it would help me see that I've done it right, but it does not help with doing it, because there's a little lag, too much lag, and looking to the side and having that lag, it's too disorientating. Even at the lowest resolution over here, there's still too much lag. This is not a substitute for soldering with a microscope. You should get a good quality, several $100 stereoscope microscope for soldering underneath a microscope, because then everything's real time, everything's optically real time. And it doesn't take much of a bump for any of this to come a little out of focus to boot. But as you can see, it's even an inch away. It has really good. It still sees that same 222 resistor in there. Yeah, a little more. Well, I wouldn't call it grainy. Just it's off a bit. It's not up against the surface anymore. But it does make for okay for scoping around. I mean, I can move my whole pan of ice around, and if I don't go too fast, everything's pretty solid. I can still examine components and quickly get the numbers off of things. If I zoom in on I'll pan around like that. You'll see it's very useful that way. So all I'm really doing is panning around my pan of ice. Sorry for the pun. And you can see the silk screening real good, and you can see the component numbers, and you really don't have to refocus anything because the pan of ice is moving in a single plane. A little bit of glare on that one. That's a bit tough to read there because of the glare. I don't really think I can do much about the glare. I can turn the brightness down. That does help. That's an L6. I wonder if it's this over here. No, it's not that. So I got the glare down a little bit, so I can see there's an L6 marking on there. Let's see if I can find anything else of interest. There's a couple 101, 102s. That one looks that's a pretty messed up transistor there. You can see the transistor here, a big old glob there, big splatter mark there. That's not a real good solder job on this board. Not me. I'm just looking at some piece of junk I pulled out of something. With this, I can still take it off and put it on the table real easy with and immediately turn it into something that's more designed for is looking at things just up close. But I wanted to see how I could do with it in a vise. It doesn't do so bad like this either. I was able to rotate the picture though, so that was nice. Just a few button clicks and you can rotate the image upside down. So if your microscope's upside down, you just rotate clockwise a couple of times and then your image is right side up while you're working on it or looking at it. Now I'm back to normal. Let's see if I can get in closer here. Inspection wise, this is a pretty nice little doodad. If you just set up the magnet really helps. It keeps it a lot more balanced. Let's see if I can focus in. As far as panning around, this works out pretty good too. As long as your board stays square. And you can get in a lot closer. Just a few adjustments to get it right. There's that 202 and R4 again. And of course you can make this bigger. So let's say, here's another thing this thing does is it lets you do editing to the image. And not only can you take video if you wanted to do video and post it up with your blog, you can also take a picture. And on top of that, if you write down the magnification, you then can do a fairly accurate measurements. So let's see if we can measure this 0602 by taking a picture of it. Let's check my magnification. Okay, I was able to read it. The magnification is currently 35. Times 35 essentially and this picture. So I really should use screen capture software for this. But let's see if we can measure that. It'd probably behoove us to get a nice square picture though, so we don't have to draw crooked lines. Okay. So then you could take a picture by pushing the button on the camera, but I would prefer just taking a picture by clicking up in the corner here. It takes a picture, or a movie, but I'm going to do a picture. Okay, so now I've taken a picture and it shows up over here on this side. So we'll just double click that. And now we're in edit mode, but because we know the magnification, over here in the corner we can put in the magnification of 35. And then we got millimeters here. We'll change that to inches because we know that an 0603 should be in inches. And you can pick kilometers for crying out loud. Inches, okay.